Hi, Salima. Thank you so much for agreeing to this interview. Discovering Kundalini and your teachings have been pivotal in so many lives, including mine. You share so much empowering info on yoga practice, trauma recovery, numerology, teacher training, mental health and spirituality, and offer so many life-changing mentorships and programs and resources at yogavision.com. You are a wealth of wisdom, and it's an honor having you. What was your background before Yoga Vision, and what inspired you to start this journey?
I think deep in my heart, I've always known that there's something bigger than just us, flesh and bone. At a very early age, I had this experience of hearing this voice that said to me, if you want to grow something, plant a seed. And it sounds super basic, but I was 4 years old at the time. And something about that message rings true my entire life. And every so often that little piece of wisdom would surface and it would point me in the right direction. And when I got to Kundalini Yoga, one of the ways that my teachers describe mantra is like planting of a seed. The second part of the story is that I had a typical 9 to 5 job. As much as I enjoyed the people I worked with and the work that I did, I spoke to a lot of people about life expectancy and about money. Taught me a lot about people's value systems and what death and dying and grieving and the finiteness of this journey, how temporary it is. All of that was inspirational, and it laid the foundation for how I approach the practice now, how I approach life now, because most of the wisdom that you hear now on Instagram or through my YouTube channel, it's come through tough times, and it's come from learning that life offers us opportunities to grow and expand and contract and shut down and do all the human things. And that's what it's all about.
The sheer volume of insight you have, spanning so many complex studies ranging from fitness and workplace wellness to numerology life paths and mental health therapy, is astounding. How did you acquire so much comprehensive knowledge and passion in one or many lifetimes?
So, yes, it's true that according to yogic teachings, that we go through 8.6 million lifetimes. So you can just imagine, it takes many lifetimes to even hear the word yoga. It takes many more to experience yoga, to practice, and then even more to become a teacher of the tradition. And I think that all of that rings true. Yoga for me is partly a technology that saved my life. It helped me from destroying myself in many ways. It also gave me an ethos, a practice, a spine of steel, and a heart of gold that I wouldn't have had any other way except for raw time on my mat with my eyes closed, going through it. And so this is really what I've come to experience and explore and share now, is that all of the learning has come through hard times. Don't believe anything less than that. None of us learn in the good, happy times. I mean, we appreciate those times, of course, don't get me wrong, but that's not necessarily where we do our really powerful learning. Where we do our learning is when we hit rock bottom, where we don't feel that there is a way ahead, or we lose courage, or we lose hope, or we lose trust. And building that back and reorienting towards the center is really what it's all about. So if you see that in me, number one, know that that's a reflection of you. And number two, you can credit any healer, any teacher who rings true for you as having walked the walk and talked the talk. There's no other way to do it.
You have said the future is female. What, in essence, is feminine embodiment? In some ways, we collectively, including men, can better channel and nurture it in the future.
The divine feminine embodiment is on the rise. The future is female. And the word Kundalini is about energy, the energy of consciousness. And that particular form of energy is the divine feminine. And when we talk about the divine feminine, we're not talking specifically about women. We're talking about the energy of creation, of nurturing, of expansion, and so much more. It's not how you do your hair or your nails or going for a spa day. Those are elements of how we might portray who we are, but that's not what the feminine is. So all of us contain within us energy that is divine masculine, divine feminine. And those dualities, those polarities help to shape how we show up in the world. And I think one way that we can all come to this a little bit more proactively and nurture these elements is to acknowledge that it exists. I'll take a tough stance here and say that the feminine has always been criticized, and the patriarchy, and we can call it that because it's become very clear that most systems in Western media come from a place of capitalism, patriarchy, and it has been very much focused on supporting men. And as women in this experience, we have had to carve out our own ways. And part of those ways are about embodying ourselves, accepting our bodies for what they look like, accepting other women for how they show up, accepting the feminine within us, along with the men in our lives also acknowledging they have the masculine energy, they also have divine feminine energy, and that there are systems at play that denounce the feminine and uphold the masculine. So if we all approach our lives with that understanding that we hold both of those dualities, and what we do with it really matters, and what we do with it impacts further generations, I think we started the conversation. And on the surface, this sounds like feminism versus patriarchy, and it's not. It's coming from a spiritual lens informed by the modern world that we live in. And that modern world also, we can see, is starting to show signs of aging. There are systems and institutions and organizations that will not last another 10 years. And we know that and we feel that. And one of the ways that we can approach that is to make sure that our own nervous system has been cared for, that we're aware of it. And in order to handle the stress in our lives, we actually take care of what is stressing us out.
After a decade of yoga practice, I still face such intense blocks and breakthroughs. It's extremely rewarding, but also extremely challenging. Sometimes I have to take a step back and just process. In your experience, what role can Kundalini play in helping individuals overcome challenges and tap into their inner strength? And does it ever get easier?
Kundalini Yoga is the yoga of awareness. I call it my best friend. She gives me a hug when I need it and a shove when I need it. And what I do know about life now is that ever more increasingly, we need to be able to source, number one, ancient traditions, ones that have stood the test of time and are functioning in a relevant way. And the relevancy of Kundalini Yoga now is the impact that it has on the nervous system through movement, through breathing practices, through mantra, sound vibration. All of these different elements of a yoga tradition are embedded in Kundalini Yoga. So it's like you're getting 7 practices for the experience of one. And when our nervous systems are dialed in, tuned in, turned on, then whatever's coming our way, we can have a more balanced level approach. We don't necessarily have to react. We can actually take action. And that's very different. Taking action first is different from reacting to what the world is proposing to us. And I think those are very important elements in terms of moving through very challenging times where the old orders are starting to collapse and where a new frontier is required. And what better way to prepare for a new external than to deal with the internal?
Thanks again for being here and for all you share. Do you have any final advice for anyone seeking and maybe overcoming obstacles in their life?
Final advice: take it easy, relax. Everything is temporary. Nobody survives. We all are perfecting the art of being human, and being human means learning, means that there are times where we want to weep from sadness or grief, or we feel exalted in our happiness, or if we feel troubled or challenged by something that we're going through, or we're noticing people around us suffering. And all of that is what we came here for, all of it. As spiritual beings, we came here to learn. We did not come to be perfect. We didn't come to be robots. We didn't come to pay the bills, go to work, eat dinner, sleep, and do it all again the next day. We came for the experience of relating to each other and the world that we live in and all that is beyond that. And I think a life well lived is where we bring the wisdom of our aching moments to the joy of all our most pleasurable moments. And so if you're having a rough ride right now, don't worry, it'll end. And if you're going through a beautiful, easy, smooth, graceful time, don't worry, it'll end. And what we can do is bring our heart to it, our soul to it, our consciousness to it, and know that all of this is the experience that we get to tell about our life. And the more adventures we take and the more we say yes, the more places we get to travel to. Lots of love, everybody. Thank you. My name is Salimah, yoga therapist. If you're looking for more information, check out my website, yogavision.com. And for free Kundalini yoga practices, Yoga Vision Online on YouTube, and the very short and inspiring daily mementos of life, come and find me on Instagram. Thank you. And I hope we run into each other some other place. Bye for now.